So we will start our session. Dear authors and invited guests, welcome to the technical session 3B. I am Riti Goel, moderator of this session. On behalf of Global Knowledge Research Foundation, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to this 7th International Conference on Smart Train in Computing and Communication through Zoom. I hope you will enjoy the knowledgeable and interactive session through the day. In this session, we have 8 presentations and each presenter will be given 8 minutes for the presentation and the 2 minutes for the question answer. And on 7 minutes, I will raise a gentle reminder to all to conclude your presentation. There is another request to all the participants that you all stay connected with us till the closing remark. There is if you have any query and update, let me know in the chat box. So just before we get started, I would like to introduce to all our chair of the session, Professor Sunil Sanghvi, and the Professor Sachin Gupta. I welcome you to the sir in this session, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Professor Sunil Sanghvi is a professor of Savitribai Phule Pune University. He has a more than 21 years of teaching experience in academics. His area of specialization in network security, data mining, software engineering, and data science and analytics. Also, Dr. Sachin Gupta is a passionate technology enthusiast and educator with teaching and administration experience of over 20 years. He is presently working in MVN University as a dean and professor in the Department of Computer Science Engineering. He is also associate with mathai.com, which is a leading edtech platform with a web, Android, and iOS module as an AI product consultant. Dr. Gupta is an associate life member of CSI and the life member of Gwalior Academy of Mathematical Science. So, let's start our session. So I would like to call our first presenter, Ispa Rai, and the paper title is Framework for Analyzing and Improving Socio-Economic Status of Women SHGS.
Thank you, Riddhi. Good morning, everyone. Let me share my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it full screen?
Yeah, it is full screen. You can start.
Okay. Thank you so much. Good morning, all the dignitaries. So my topic is a framework for analyzing and improving socioeconomic status of women SHG. This is a working paper we are currently working. My co-author is Professor S.N. Mishra. We belong to School of Management, it deemed to be university. So this is the layout of my presentation. We'll start with introduction, then we'll talk about women empowerment in India, then literature review, after that problem definition, then proposed framework and discussion. So the females in almost all societies are definitely least privileged. Yeah. Even though, and if we give equal opportunity, they can become major contributor to the society. Social and institutional hurdles still prevent gender inequality in a substantive manner, including employment, healthcare, and political liberties. The studies were done by Sen and Esther Duflo in 2012. Despite the fact that women's status has improved over the 25 years, social and institutional hurdles still prevail. So women constitute 48.46, that is almost 50% of the total population in India. Yet The labor force participation is only 19%. India's female labor force participation is lower than Bhutan, in which they have 58.9%, in Bangladesh, Nepal, and Pakistan. Even during the heydays of India, economic growth of India, female participation is only 32%. And in the times of economic distress, women are the most vulnerable class. Women hold only 13.5% of the total parliamentary seat, according to the Human Development Index in 2020. The loss of Human Development Index caused by gender inequality is 26.4%. Anemia among adolescent girls, actually these parameters uh, belongs to the categories of the causes of Human Development Index, the parameters that education, then uh, representation in parliament, then their healthcare. So anemia among adolescent girls in the age group of 15 to 45, that is the reproductive age group, has gone up from 53 to 57%. It has significantly improved. It is against this backdrop of a high maternal mortality rate, anemia, and the female labor force participation, low female labor force participation, that empowering women through self-help groups like Mission Shakti has come in timely as a week of fresh air. So now I'll talk about Mission Shakti, what it is and why it is necessary. It is a as the correlation between economic growth and empowerment is very fragile. So the government needs to protect it, needs to actually support it until and unless it gets self-sustained. Um, Mission Shakti is the self-help mission for empowering women through promotion of women self-help groups to take up various socio-economic activities, which was launched in our state, Odisha, on 8th March 2001, on the eve of International Women's Day. Mission Shakti has the clear objective of empowering women through gainful activities, providing credit and market linkages. Nearly 70 lakh women have been organized into 6 lakh groups in all the blocks and districts of Odisha. Consequently, Government of Odisha linked these SHGs with other development welfare programs for fruitful implementation. The subsequent initiatives aim to enhance education, social, and health sector reforms. And they have actually gone into collaboration with different departments such as energy department, water resources, fisheries, and they provide work to the self-help groups. A prominent success story came in 2005 where 10,000 women in Koraput, which is a very lagged district in terms of economic growth. All the members of women's self-help group generated self-sustained results while being engaged in various socio-economic activities. While these initiatives have proved to be tremendous success in providing economic benefit, but its impact on their personal life has not been studied properly. So we only have studied the economic impact till now, but what is their mental state, how they are feeling empowered, that has not been studied properly. So before going into literature, let me define what empowerment means in the study context. So Kabir in 1999 has defined women empowerment as the expansion in people's ability to make strategic life decisions in a context where this ability was previously denied to them, and a process that entails thinking outside the system and challenging the status quo, where people can make choices from their point of view and they feel really, what to say, valued. A good number of studies conducted in developing countries like Bangladesh, Nepal, Bolivia, Tanzania shows positive relationship between participation of women in self-help groups and their empowerment. Women have attained social, economical, and political empowerment through participation in SHGs. It has also resulted in higher self-confidence when taking independent financial decisions, improved social networks, and respect among community. Um, so SHGs are a feasible form of organization for providing microcredit and rural empowerments, then inspire them to collaborate for entrepreneurial endeavors. In comparison to their prior lives without affiliation of social with the self-help groups, the self-help groups have demonstrated to be a blessing in Bangladesh, and the what to say the uh, domestic violence rate has tremendously come down due to their participation in social self-help groups. Then Swai and Valentin in 2007 found that people who participate in microfinance program feel more socially empowered. Then a study by Anjugam in 2001 reported that microfinance help women in improving decision-making skills such as handling financial difficulties at home, overall assertiveness, and household duties. According to Gaiha and Nandini in 2005, SHG support women empowerment in a variety of ways, such as boosting self-confidence, fostering more respect within the family, encouraging a more proactive role in the family in decision making. And case study done by Rajpal and Tamang in 2021, a very recent study in Balasore district, has brought out that a great difference between tribal and non-tribal districts
Ma'am,
that
sorry,
we are focusing. Yeah,
sorry for the interruption, ma'am. Hello.
yeah, hello.
Yeah, it's 1 minute left for your
Uh,
presentation.
okay, I'll be done. I'll be done. So coming to the problem definition, no study has done to testify the micro enterprise supported through the SHGs and different agencies like Mission Shakti, SID, ACDR, DA, all this performing satisfactory or not. So these organizations are there in place, but if it is actually gaining benefit to the women or not, there is no study to testify that. No study to testify the problems being faced by the member or and non-member of the SHGs to avail the financial support from above mentioned agencies, testifying the percentage of beneficiaries economic support from these microfinance organizations, what kind of difficulties they are facing from going to the organization, and how they are getting help from that, testifying the social impact on beneficiaries who attained economic support from microfinance organizations. Coming to the framework, the proposed framework, actually we are trying to get to is the propensity score matching. We want to study if the women who are actually in the social help self-help group and those who are not participants, those who are outside the self-help group, how what are the things that are actually that will motivate them to participate in the self-help group. So the PSM is a statistical matching method that attempts to quantify the impact of mission success and intervention on women empowerment by taking into account the factors that affect whether or not SHG membership has an impact on its outcomes. So data is to be collected from 3 districts of Odisha. So one is will be Koraput, and mostly in an economic scale, it will be one developing, then underdeveloped and developed. The study aims to testify the microenterprise supported through SHGs at different microfinancing agencies have positive outcomes and provide recommendations for enhanced service delivery by these agencies. The training program, microfinance opportunities, and other facilities provided by SHG should address the real needs of the rural women. The study aims to bring out the difficulties being faced by these women and recommend how problems can be solved by taking into account various covariates like increasing educational opportunities among women, giving financial assistance, market facilities for the end product, developing self-employment programs, training through micro enterprises programs, then subsidies, new schemes, policies, missions. The proposed study will also suggest how technology can be a powerful enabler towards socioeconomic empowerment of women. These are my references. That's all from my side. Thank you so much.
So, madam, I'm audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Madam, whatever you have studied, what is your conclusion remark regarding the literature survey, what you have done, and whatever the microfinancing things you have mentioned? Either at the government side, there is no metric to measure either the beneficiary directly getting the benefit from all these issues or not.
Sir, actually, the financial benefit they are getting more or less, but what they are not getting the hand-holding part, like the training part, they are getting the money from the government, but
Okay.
the technological aspect, they're not trained how to use these money in a substantial manner, actually in a sustainable manner, and how to get the best output of that. That has not been tested or studied properly. So that we are focusing in our study.
So in your work, you are suggesting any mechanism for the training and how to use the money for their benefit?
Sir, in consequently, we are focusing on that how to make. We are proposing a framework that is currently under developing form. So, that is the outcome of our study. So,
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Abhipsha, I have a question.
yes,
Uh, would it be feasible to actually come out to a conclusion with a short-term study?
sir, the literature that we have studied, and I have visited the field to few places, and the kind of responses I have got, that exactly this is the thing that
I am just asking your personal opinion as a researcher. How do you feel about it? That would it be feasible to have a short-term study and will be able to reach a conclusion?
no, sir. No, sir. We are actually in a data collection phase, so we are expanding our study to all the many more districts, that how as much as we can cover.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Avispa. So,
Yeah, it's Abhipsha.
sorry, ma'am. So our next presenter is Afra Fatima S. And the paper title is Analysis to Find Relationship Between Mental Trauma, Rape and Suicide.
Good morning, everyone. Can I share my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, good morning, everyone. I am Afra. I am pursuing my third year of engineering in computer science from Rajalakshmi Engineering College. So, here I am with my teammate Akhil Sharif to present our paper, which is about an analysis to find relationship between mental trauma, rape, and suicide. So, what is trauma? And wait, yeah, excuse me. Um, yeah, so what is trauma and why is trauma being spoken about so much these days? So, trauma is something which happens to a person when he or she experiences a very terrible situation. It consumes a person's strength, power, and energy for them to overcome it. And it is being spoken about a lot because the world is evolving, people are evolving, so people face various situations. So, people experience something called trauma nowadays. And to have a look at the formal definition of trauma, it is being defined as an emotional response to a horrible occurrence like an accident, rape, or any natural disaster, and is given by the American Psychological Association. And traumatic events, if it becomes too critical, the person can fall into a trap, depression. So, what is depression? It can kill a person mentally, and you will not know until you feel a little deviated. So, here we are to find a relation between how rape, depression, and suicide are all interrelated, and on how one can lead to another. So, if you are a rape victim, you can have suicidal thoughts, which can further lead to depression. Uh, so these are the list of contents. And the first one would be data cleaning and pre-processing. I think this is the first and most important step in any data mining and analysis. So the data you get from the real world or the data you fetch from the internet might not always be correct and appropriate. So for a better understanding, we performed a few actions like dropping the redundant rows, filling in the missing values, removing the null values, etc., to achieve the required result. And so here is the most important part of the paper, which is the exploration and analysis. So talking about suicide rate in India, its causes, and suicide rate by gender. So suicide rate in India has been observed that it has been increasing throughout the years. So in comparison with the recent statistics and our observation, it's been increasing. And the cause for it is unpredictable because what we observed from our visualization was marriage is the leading cause for it, but according to the statistics, family problem is a leading cause. So it's just very absurd. So it's unpredictable because everybody has their own cause for their suicide. And talking about gender wise, males have higher suicide rate than females. And the cause for it was observed to be unemployment issues. It cannot be agreed because females also go through the same. So again, the cause for it is unpredictable. And so talking about suicide rate in third world countries, so it is something which is not being spoken about and it is not being acknowledged. So what we have visualized was, there are high suicide rate in all the third world underdeveloped countries or third world countries, and they have less medical and mental health facilities, which is a poor observation. So it is suggested that the improving the medical and mental health facilities would be of great help as they can create an awareness to the people in those countries. And psychiatrists, talking about why psychiatrists, so psychiatrists are a group of people which contribute to a person's mental health. So it mental health or trauma or depression not only affects your mind, it also affects your overall well-being as well as your functioning. So if you think you are too critical about it, or if you are in a very disturbed mental state, you can always suggest it is always suggested to consult a psychiatrist. And what we've observed that few countries have high suicide rate and low psychiatrist rate. So improving the rate of psychiatrists in countries, especially the underdeveloped countries, can help in slightly declining this suicide rate, and also might create an awareness to people to tell them that there is somebody who can deal with your disturbed mental health state. And now I will hand over the presentation to my teammate Akhil Sharif.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. So now let's talk about nursing facilities. Coming to nursing facilities is like considered to be one of the most important part of a human being, because especially for the elderly, because even though not necessarily that the elderly might be sick or around, they might need somebody to take care of them. They might need somebody for taking their medications and everything else. So that's why nursing facilities are important and they improve the quality of life. And coming to our analysis, we have observed that Zimbabwe has the least amount of nursing facilities, which is quite bad, and Turkey has the highest amount of nursing facilities, which is quite good. Turkey is like on the improving level. Every year it's been steadily improving its nursing facilities. And now coming to social workers are actually defined as a separate sect of people who try and improve the quality of life of individuals around them. They actually help individuals around them. They do a lot of social work, and we have, with our observation and with our visualization, we have actually come to a conclusion that not every country in the world has the highest amount of social workers. Very few countries have social workers actually included in them. For example, Monaco, Costa Rica, etc., these countries have highest amount of social workers, which is quite good for them. But when considering other set of countries, they have to improve on their social worker skills. And comparing the social workers and the nursing facilities part, both of them together improve the quality of life of a particular individual. And now coming to the psychology part is also like quite important, because this mental trauma, suicide, and everything else can actually be solved with the help of psychology. Psychology deals with the mental mental brain and the response actions of of a particular human being. So psychology also is really important, and with a visualization we have actually gotten hold of some certain facts, like coming to say that the female psychologists are more in number compared to that of male psychologists. Argentina has the highest number of highest number of psychologists all over the world, and according to the recent study, there's this particular ratio that is there, 1:8,000. This study says that India.
Sorry for the interruption, sir.
Yes.
You only 1 minute left for the presentation.
Yeah, sure. It is actually said that India needs more than 13,000 psychiatrists. Next. And coming to rape is actually defined as the most social legal problems that are actually that is prevalent in our country. And coming to our visualization, we have observed that Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and Rajasthan has the highest number of rape cases between the year of 2016, 17, and 18. And women in rape, women are actually the most affected victims when it comes to rape. And we have, with our observation and our visualization, we have actually come to a conclusion that women between the age of 45 to 60 and above 60 are are actually the most affected in the case of rape. And again, speaking, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, and Madhya Pradesh have steadily been increasing in the amount of rape cases every year. It has not been declined. And coming to the relation part, we'll actually be summarizing this with by saying that how one particular thing leads to another other big thing. For example, how mental trauma, how mental trauma, this rape, depression, and everything, how exactly it leads to suicide. And so certain places have low medical facilities. These low medical facilities they actually conclude in less amount of awareness among people, so that leads to rape. And within our country, there are certain underdeveloped states. So underdeveloped states have seen that it has the highest amount of rape cases. That is pretty bad, and it needs immediate look after with. And there are certain countries which, with our observation, we have actually visualized that there are certain countries which have less amount of suicide rate, and they have less medical facilities as well. There are certain countries of that category as well. And we will also like to talk about PTSD. PTSD, it's called as post-traumatic stress disorder. Generally speaking, when a particular human being is affected with mental trauma or mental issues, if that mental trauma and mental issues leads beyond a month, if it happens to stay beyond a month, that particular person is being diagnosed with PTSD. It needs immediate look after too, and it's quite important. And now Afra will be concluding the presentation.
So to conclude, traumatic events such as rape can lead to suicidal thoughts, which can further lead to depression. And if the situation is too critical, it can lead to a disorder, which was discussed, called PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And it is also suggested that in the underdeveloped states of India and in the underdeveloped countries, if improving the rate of medical and mental health facilities can help in decrementing the suicidal rates. And yeah, so that brings us to the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, may I ask a question, please?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Your analysis says that you are saying MP, UP, and Rajasthan are the three states where there is a maximum cases of rapes against women and all. Did you try to normalize your data against population density?
No, sir.
Can you generalize without actually normalizing your data against population density? When you are trying to make a case, you would actually be better if you actually try to see that these are the most populous states. So you cannot say the numbers exactly that the numbers are high, so that means the rape rates are more here. That might be actually low in comparison to states where there is a less population, but there are equivalent number of cases. That's one. And the second thing is, in your entire analysis, you are assuming there is a correlation. There is no assumption. When you are actually researching, you would it would benefit that you would have to see what is the relative feature importance with the West. So your model is most likely a black box. You have to think of how to bring in transparency into, or maybe try to bring in explainability in your ML model, so that you'll be able to see that what is actually correlated and what probably is just looking at the correlation but smart. Just an advice. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. So actually, we took data set from 2016, 17, and 18, and we saw the rape cases, the rape rate in those in the country, and we just compared it with the recent statistics. So
You
so
are
it
you
went.
are your cause is good. You are actually trying to take a topic which is very sensitive. But with sensitive topics, the researchers' ethical responsibility becomes more, because when the results you are putting out, they have to be very, very sensitive, very accurate. That's
Accurate.
where.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Okay,
sir. Thank you so much, sir.
so I have one question, just extending our counterparts suggestions related with some attribute, like population density. But what I would like to ask you, either if you are going to consider about the literacy rate of that particular state, and accordingly if there is any variations in these the three attributes which you have suggested to make a relationship between mental trauma, rape, and suicide. If we are going to consider the literacy rate of any state, is there any variation? If there is a literacy rate is more, or education awareness is more in that
Yeah,
particular
education
state, and yeah,
definitely plays a role. So education, I
yeah,
think education definitely plays a role for such
yeah,
events to happen. So I guess, as we
okay,
mentioned, underdeveloped states in India. So I
yeah,
I think the less of education, like in slum areas and stuff, where children are not educated properly. So I think
okay.
education definitely plays a very important role for such events to
So,
happen.
so that is my suggestion. Just you have to include that component also in your research. That definitely gives you the accuracy and how it is going to be make all these issues to be
We are
at the
including the
reduced cost. Yeah.
conclusion. So
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for
sir.
the suggestion, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Afra. So we are moving our next presenter, Yaswant Sai Chikula, and the paper title is Brain Tumor Detection from Brain MR Images.
Good morning, one and all. Myself, Ashwan Sai Chikula, and I'm going to present on our research work, brain tumor detection using from brain MRI images. Can anyone confirm that my screen is visible?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Yeah, thank you. So, myself, Ashwan Sai Chikula from VR Siddhartha Engineering College. Our research includes brain tumor detection from brain MRI images. And this is the agenda of today's of my presentation. And starting with the problem, so CT scan is faster when came with the identification of any tissue disorders and organ disorders and skeletal structure. And MRI is highly adept at capturing images. And it's an easy way for doctors to identify any abnormal issues. Um, and detecting the presence of any tumor or cancer cells in the brain using MRI images is our work. And the objectives of this work is we are going to classify MRI images into two classes, MRI with tumor and MRI without tumor. So at the end, the outcome of our model is to classify the brain tumor into three classes. So glioma, meningioma, and pituitary. So if there is any tumor present, it will be divided broadly into these three categories. And if there is not, the tumor, the MRI images will come under the classification of tumor is not present. And this is the architecture diagram of our work. So firstly, we'll take the input image, that is the MRI image, and then we've created a model. And the model predicts the tumor. If yes, it will be classified under these three categories: glioma, meningioma, and pituitary. And if there is no, the tumor is not present. And coming to the procedure, first we've taken a predefined data set from the Kaggle, and using Google Collaboratory Notebook, we pre-processed the data set. That is, at first step of pre-processing, we first convert the categorical variables into binary variables for classification purpose. And the next is we perform the data augmentation. This is to increase the amount of data by adding slightly modified copies. That is, if the for example, if an MRI image has some pituitary tumor, then we identified some modified versions of pituitary tumor MRI images. So we trained our model using slight modifications of the existing data. And the model is built using transfer learning to save time, because using transfer learning, the model automatically learns itself from the previous task it's been assigned to. And the next is for visualization purpose. These are the three categories of tumor that we segregated throughout this work: glioma, meningioma, and pituitary. So the non-cancerous images that were identified will be clubbed into the category of meningioma, that is non-cancerous. And in the first step, we for pre-processing, we used one-hot encoding method. So one-hot encoding is a representation of categorical variables as binary vectors. First of all, the categorical values must be mapped to binary integer values, that is 0 or 1. So if there is a yes, it will be mapped to 1. If it's not, it will be mapped to a 0. And the next, so as we can see that the images, the MRI images before one hot encoding and after one hot encoding. So we can observe that after one hot encoding, the images are classified into binary categories, into zeros and one representations. And efficient net is the model we've created for identification of the brain tumor cells. So if we, to put it simple, efficient net is a convolution neural network designed based on transfer learning. And the scaling coefficients are put respectively based on the image dimensions that we are loading into the model. The network's depth and breadth and resolution are considered based on the input dataset size and volume. And the output of this function is an image classification that gives the weights that were represented from on hot encoding, as whether the MRI image contains tumor cells or not. And the efficient net model is trained using transfer learning. So basically, transfer learning is the improvement of learning in a new task from the knowledge based on a related task that it has already been done. So first we trained the CNN using.
Yashwant, sorry to interrupt. Actually,
Yeah.
we'll be more interested in looking at the results.
Yeah, sure.
Please walk forward.
So our model can classify any brain tumor. And first of all, we created a UI to upload the image, the MRI image. And then the model predicts the tumor is cancerous or not. And that's the overall list. And coming to these applications, basically we've experienced through an ambiguity situation where to do any CT analysis or MRI analysis, but only brain tumors can be rightly identified through MRI images. So that's the novelty of our model and application. So coming to the conclusion, so we created a model where it identifies the brain tumor, and and on comparison with other ML algorithms like SVM, decision tree, and EfficientNet has given wider results into our work. So we made a UI application like prototype, which takes in which runs EfficientNet and gives out the result in a more simple way for the end users. So these were the references that were taken throughout the works.
Thank you for the presentation conclusion, Yashwant. Can you just actually tell that did you try to correlate your results with any doctor that actually can conclude that it was the right call that your model made? I mean, for the ML to make a call, it's easy for you to understand. You'll be probably using some statistical method to say the accuracy of the results is fine and so. But there is another step. Ideally there should be another step that when we are proposing something, is it eventually corroborated by some medical fraternity that actually verifies or validates your result? Is it feasible? Or should it be done or should it not?
Actually, it should be done, sir, because the comparative analysis of any research work that's being proposed must be um, included. But what our agenda was to create an end user application that gives the highest result. So we've actually verified this from the native hospital by contacting the doctor, by interacting with the doctors in that hospital, and then making them use this application. And based on their final output, then we modified and optimized and all such things. So, but the comparative analysis were not shown in this work because that's based on the opinion of the doctors and the experienced people residing in this field.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yashwant, any question from the audience? Yes, Sunil sir, can you ask the question?
Yeah. I have one question.
Yes.
You are following the supervised learning in this entire methodology?
Um, no, sir, it's unsupervised actually. It's not supervised.
You are using the simulated data set now available on Kaggle and all those. You
Actually,
have gone through the real-time data set. If you have discussed with some specialist in this particular field, if you are going try to get the real-time data set from those and work on whatever the methodology you have suggested, either how it is going to give the result for that one.
sir, I'm
If
sorry,
though the
can you?
data set is, yeah, if the data set is confidential, okay, but if you are going to apply your methodology on the some data set which you have collected from the doctors, and then you try to put your results with the existing whatever the methodology they have given, and then try to compare the accuracy, na? How much accuracy your proposed methodology is giving as compared to the existing one.
When compared to the existing one, the first thing
Yeah.
that was relevantly existing was the ML approach, was machine learning based approach, where they've used decision tree and random forest classifications. And in that, especially when we confine our discussion only for MRI images, it was getting nearly by 80 to 82%, and near that approach. And when we are moving this when we are moving this methodology to deep learning, as I said earlier, we use convolution neural networks. The accuracy has been jumped straight to 91% mathematically. And of course, and in our model, the most sophisticated thing that we've concentrated was the slight modifications of the cancerous cells. So for example, all the pituitary tumor cells were not all the pituitary cells were not in the same ratio. There was slight modifications. So if there is any other kind of detection, if there is any other kind of tumor present in pituitary gland also, it would be identified.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We are moving our next presenter, Niharika Terli, and the title is a detection of SMART in a SMS using machine learning algorithms.
Niharika, before you start, just a small request. It would be better to skip the pre-processing and literature review so that you can concentrate more on the actual work part.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. Myself, Venu Madhavi. Today, I'm here to present about detection of spam and SMSs using machine learning algorithms. So, coming to the introduction part, most of the spam SMSs, most of the service SMSs is actually effective forms of communication. So many people use the short services to send a message because of its low cost. Therefore, it is an advantage which has become a threat to most of the people who are using that, because attackers use this type of vulnerability to exploit people's privacy. Hence, there is a need to detect the spam messages, and therefore we can use machine learning algorithms to classify the spam messages. The objectives. The problem statement is the main idea is to perform a classification on the classification of the messages in the short service messages using machine learning algorithms, that is achieved by building a website which displays whether a message is ham or spam. So objectives are basically we'll be using this machine learning model to detect the spam SMSs which are actually concerned with the fields like banking, healthcare applications, and business applications. So they'll remove an unwanted malicious behavior for the network users. So therefore, outcomes will be like the people can be protected against the viruses and also keep an information safe from the hackers. Literature review. Dataset description. Dataset description is actually, we have taken the dataset from the Kaggle, which actually consists of 5574 messages. In that part, 1000 are of spam messages and remaining are ham messages. So the dataset is actually from a call answering service. It actually consists of two columns. The first column actually is a raw text. Is actually a raw text, and the second one is a label, which is representing whether it is a ham or spam message. Coming to an architecture diagram, first we'll actually take a data set from data set, and then we'll do pre-processing. In the pre-processing process, we actually remove the null values and all the duplicates and make the data set clear so that we can apply. There are actually two. We are actually divided our process into two ways. The first part actually is a combination of snowball stemmer and SVC, and the second part is actually a combination of photo stemmer and navy bias. So when coming to snowball stemmer, it is actually a stemming process. So it is actually a stemming process to cut down to a root word. It actually consists of some of the rules like where suffixes like ly, ILY will be reduced to ILI. There are some other rules like this, and after that we'll be using it in term frequency and inverse document frequency to convert our text into a vector, because the machine learning model which we are going to build doesn't take the text because it processes well better in a vector format. And after we'll be using a support vector classifier to classify our messages into ham or spam. Same goes well with the other part, that is photo stemmer, but the rules are slightly different. Like if the word has a suffix of EED, then it will be converted into EE, and then it will be converted into a vectors by using same inverse document frequency, term frequency and inverse document frequency, and by building the model with the multinomial navy bias, the vectorized model will be built and the output can be determined whether it is ham or spam. The procedure goes like this. So first we take a data set from our Kaggle and we perform the feature extraction. Like first we'll be seeing what are the number of characters, what are the number of words, and how many number of sentences are present, and we do a correlation for all of this and get a feature extractor as a number of characters. Then we remove stop words from the data set, and simultaneously we'll apply the snowball stemmer and photo stemmer algorithms for all the words and get the data set. We'll split them into a train and test data sets and apply the TF-ID of technique. And then we're using two different approaches. First approach is built for SVC approach with a combination of snowball stemmer, and the second approach is a photo stemmer algorithm with a multinomial navy bias. Construct the model, try and test it, and we'll get the evaluation metrics. And using this evaluation metrics, we'll build the website. Finally, we'll classify the message whether it is ham or spam using a respective classifier. And the result, these are the result analysis. The first one is visualizing of the data, like how much percentage of harm is present in our data set and how much percentage of harm is present. And these are actually the evaluation results of messages whether classified into harm or spam, accuracy of SVC, and accuracy of navy bias. And these are the total accuracies of all the combinations which we have performed. And conclusion, so detection of spam SMSs is very important for guarding our phone without any malicious content. The exact detection of spam messages is actually a very challenging task. So in order to do that, we actually need to see all the combinations which are there, so we can get an exact exact model to determine the correct label of whether a message is ham or spam. So the experimentals results have shown that the combination of SVC with the snowball stemmer gives almost 98% accuracy, which is very high when compared to the existing systems. Thus, the results suggest that the proposed method is very reliable for the detection of spam. And here are our references. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for your presentation. I just have a single very small question that if you try, would you not be able to find, well, Kaggle data sets have a usability of 10. They are preset to make your experiment very comfortable. If you would try,
sir, actually,
you can. Yeah. Yes, please.
There are data set not of Kaggle messages from Kaggle. We have actually used a customized data set also, sir, which is actually combined with a Kaggle data set. We actually took the spam and ham SMSs, and we actually combined with the Kaggle data set, and we built the data sets.
Okay, what was the size of your mix that you took in from the customized data set?
That's actually 1,000 messages, sir.
Did you label them yourself?
Yes, sir. Actually, they are taken from all of our friends' phones, spam messages, and we have made them.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any question from the audience side? Surin sir, have you question any?
No, ma'am. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we are moving on next presenter. Sudhir B. Desai. And the paper title is a development of augmented reality book for preschool education.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
A very good morning to all. This is Sudhir Desai with my co-authors Vaishali Bhosle and Ajit Golekar, presenting a paper on development of augmented reality book for preschool education. The paper ID is 151. Presentation contains introduction, tools and technologies, methodology, final output, followed by challenges, conclusion, and future scope. And lastly, references. We know that traditional way of learning letter A is open your textbook, read letter A and say A for apple. In augmented reality, what will happen if you hold the mobile on the textbook concept you want to study? Suppose you want to study A for apple, a relevant virtual 3D model of apple will be pop up between mobile and textbook. This is bringing virtual 3D model in a real world. So augmented reality is nothing but an immersive technology. It adds 3D virtual objects in real world. Interaction with these virtual 3D models enhance what we see, hear, and feel. Interaction may be of zoom, scale, or rotate type. Because of this interaction, users involved and engaged. It can be best used in preschool education. Preschool education will become creative and interactive because of AR. AR experiences 25% digital reality, and 75% existing reality. Tools and technologies used to develop an AR applications are Unity Game Development Engine, Euphoria Software Development Kit, 3D models, scripting with C#, and Unity Asset Store. This is screen of Unity Game Engine. Unity Game Engine with game objects in hierarchy panel, properties and methods in inspector panel, project panel with assets like 3D models and script, scene and game panel to visualize the application, and console panel to debug. This is a screenshot of Euphoria Software Development Kit, Euphoria SDK. This license manager in Euphoria SDK offers free license key for learning purpose, also for restricted use of development purpose. Target manager in Euphoria SDK helps to create database for image target. These are the image targets of respect to letter A, B, C, D, E. We have used this image target for our application. Ratings in Euphoria provides augmentable quality of image target based on feature points. 5 ratings means good quality of image target, and 1 rating means a very poor quality of image target. Free 3D models are available in various websites like Rezilla, CG Trader, SketchUp, etc. We can build 3D models by using applications like AutoCAD, SolidWorks, CATIA, Creo, etc. These 3D models are available in STL, FBX, OBJ formats. We have used Elephant 3D model, which is available freely in Crazilla website and which is available in FBX format. There are two types of formats. There are two types of models, low polymesh and high polymesh model. We have used low polymesh models to reduce our application size. C# scripts are code to interact with these 3D models. As seen in this picture, the codes enable for scene management. It also enables to rotate, move, and zoom actions of the game object. This is a screen of Unity Asset Store. The Unity Asset Store has thousands of assets and tools. These are available freely as well as paid basis. These assets can be used for development of AR application. Methodology. To develop an AR application, we need image target and 3D model. We can upload image target in Unity by using 3 ways: from image, from database, and cloud reco. We can import 3D models by using Unity Asset Store, or we can develop 3D models by using softwares like Blender, Maya, CATIA, etc. We have to child this 3D model with respective image target. This is next step. This is called as parent-child relationship. Then next, C# script is written to provide interaction. This interaction may be of move, rotate, or scale type. Finally, the application is built for Android platform. It can be built for iOS also, and deployed to phone for installation and testing. This is final output of our application. The respective 3D model will be pop up on the image target. The 3D model of cow will be pop up on the respective image target of C. Model of elephant will be pop up on the letter E. We will take a minute to show a video of developed application. See here, the respective 3D model of cow will be pop up on the letter C. The respective 3D model of, is it visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
The respective 3D model of horse will be pop up on the letter H. The respective 3D model of elephant will be pop up on E, etc. Then we can zoom this 3D model, we can rotate this 3D model, we can interact with this 3D model. This is the application we have developed. The challenges, conclusion, and future scope. The AR app devices depend on which is challenging due to features like depth API and ARC. To develop markerless application, we required some features like depth API and ARC core support. To conclude, the developed AR book is an attempt to make teaching learning mechanism more interesting, engaging, and playful. In future, the AR book implementation can be extended for school education also. These are the references. Thank you. Any questions?
Okay, so there is NCERT, CBSE, they have actually have a lot of AR concepts coming for high school students. Where in biology they are showing the diagrams of that part is something that there is one thing only that I actually am worried about. Let us say it's my kid or yours, and the AR in the classroom requires them to wear the AR headset.
Yes.
So can there be an additional research which actually see that what is the impact of using those headsets on the kids?
Actually, we have developed this AR application. We required mobile, not headset, because headset is very costly.
Right, that is the USP of your work. The thing is, for even for a preschooler, is it a good thing that we can propose them to actually study with a mobile phone? That's my only concern. I like the work, absolutely. So for preschoolers specifically,
no, a teacher in preschool, they can use the mobile. They can project the 3D model with the help of projector, so that children can enjoy the 3D pop-up model. They can interact with this 3D model. The traditional way is A for apple is we need some changes in traditional way of teaching.
okay.
So this is attempt to do something.
I appreciate. I am a young parent. I just needed to understand that with. Thank you.
Actually, sir, your concern is very right, because virtual headsets, they are having some side effects also. But teachers can use this as a very innovative technique for teaching learning process.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. I understand that. Got it.
Thank you, Sudhir, for the presentation.
Thank you.
Any question from the audience side? Okay. So we are moving our next presenter. Swarna Nagraj, and the paper title is Efficient Bounding Strategy for CES 2020 Winner Algorithm in Solving Production Planning Problem.
Is it audible, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll start my presentation. Good morning, everyone. Myself, Makita Swarna Nagraj, and today I'll be presenting my presentation on efficient bounding strategy for CEC 2020 winner algorithms in solving production planning problems on behalf of Pramak Wadat, Debashish Maran, and Prakash Patecha. These are the outline through which I'll go. So, introduction. Production planning is nothing but a real-world optimization problem which deals with the optimal usage of the resource and the production of the goods with maximum profit. So in this case, the objective of our production planning is to produce the right quantity of the product using the right process in such a way that all constraints should be satisfied and maximum profit is determined. So production planning problem is a mixed integer linear problem. So that's why it can be solved using mathematical programming as well as meta-heuristic algorithms. So from the literature, it has been observed that most of the people have used MILP approach to solve the production planning. But when it comes to solve a large complex scheduling problem, the traditional mathematical approaches become ineffective as it may take a large amount of time to solve the problem. On the other hand, meta-heuristic algorithms have several advantages over mathematical programming techniques, such as solving black box optimization problem, handling non-linearities, and not requiring the problem formulation in the standard inequality and equality form. So the research gap, what we have observed is the meta-heuristic techniques are the nature-inspired algorithms, and they use the bounding strategies to get a solution in a defined search space. But very few researchers have studied the impact of bounding strategies on real-life optimization problems. So therefore, we are aim to study the effect of bounding strategies of an algorithm on the optimization of a production planning problem. We have used three meta-heuristic techniques, namely improved multi-operator differential evaluationary algorithm, adaptive gaining sharing knowledge, and sanitized teaching learning based optimization for this study. So what is production planning problem? It consists of a manufacturing of one or more product using several processes or several appropriate processes. It consists of 54 different processes, and it have 3 different capacity levels: low, medium, and high, with known production cost and production investment. So LMH is the production capacity. CLJ, CMJ, and CHJ are the production cost for each level, and IMJ, IHJ, ILJ, IMJ, and IHJ are the investment cost for the related to the each production capacity. So as shown in the figure, the production cost and the investment cost are assumed to vary linearly with the production capacity level. So the ABCD indicate the piecewise linear relationship between the production cost and in production cost, investment cost, and the production capacity level, what we have considered. Due to this linear relationship, the production cost and investment cost are for a particular product produced from a process is also calculated using a linear interpolation formula for both the LM and MH production capacity. So the constraints in this problem we have considered as the available raw material constraint, budget constraint, and another is domain hole constraint, which indicates the that the production between 0 to L and the production after H capacity is not permissible. So this is known as domain hole constraint. And the product, in some of the cases, we have considered a unique process constraint, which means that a product should be produced from a single process. So production planning problem formulation. So decision variable, what we have considered for this problem is the quantity of the product to be produced from each process. So the domain of the decision variable is 0 to H, where X is the X is the decision variable which lies between the 0 to H. So let us consider a set of decision variable X, so which consists of the 54 54 decision variables. So X1 indicates the amount of product produced by process 1, X5 indicates the amount of product produced by process 5, and similarly the Xj indicates the amount of the product produced by process J. So here we have shown the mathematical formulation of a constraints and the objective function file. So here the raw material constraint, the TRM is the total amount of the raw material used for a summation of the total raw material used for the production of the different processes, and the raw material used different types of raw materials. If my raw material, that my TRM amount of the raw material used is more than my available raw material, which is R, then I am applying the penalty. So similar case for the domain hole constraint. If my production lies between 0 to L, then I am assigning a penalty for that product. For the unique process constraint, if my process is using more than one process to produce a product, then I am also applying unique process constraint, which is NT, which indicates the number of the process used. The investment constraint, if my total investment cost calculated for all product is higher than my budget, then I am applying the investment penalty for that investment constraint also. So how I have calculated profit is nothing but the total sales minus the production cost what we have obtained. So objective function is nothing but, as we all know, meta-heuristic algorithm tend to give a minimum value as our optimal. So but here we want a maximum profit, that's why we have given here minus sign. So minus profit plus lambda of p is nothing but the summation of all the penalties what we have applied, and lambda is a hard penalty which makes the solution totally infeasible to remove from a screening. So algorithms what we have employed.
Sorry, hello. Sorry
Yes,
for the interruption. You have 1 minute left for
Okay,
presentation.
okay, ma'am. So these are the so IMOD, AGSK, and STLBO I have applied for the solving this problem. So in main all of the algorithm, the bounding strategy for IMOD and AGSK seems to have a old solution is replaced with a new solution, while STLBO have the corner bounding strategy. So impact of the bounding strategy is nothing but it helps to restrict the solution in a defined space. So there these can be categorized in broadly two ways. So one is the replace the bound violated variable with a new feasible value, and replace the bound violated variable with new nearest feasible bound, which is known as corner bounding. So IMOD follows the replace the bound violated variable with new feasible. So they have 3 different methods for that, while AGS also follows the same the method replace the bound violated variable with new feasible values using equations. So corner bounding strategy is used by STLBO. So we have modified the AGSK and IMOD to corner bounding by using corner bounding strategy. So which indicates if my x nu is violated the upper bound, the solution is shift to the upper bound, and if my x nu is violated the lower bound, then x nu is shifted to the lower bound. So we have considered 25 runs to solve the problem, and allowed the maximum number of fitness function to as a termination criteria. We have studied the different cases based on the available raw material and the and budget, and we have considered case 1 to case 4 as the unique process constraint. So from the convergence curve, the case 1 to case 4 considers unique process constraint, case 5 to case 8 considers without unique process constraint. So it has been observed that AGSK is not able to give a feasible solution, while MAGSK or modified AGSK generates the highest profit. Amid all algorithms, STLBO converges quickly for all the cases, followed by MAGSK and STLBO is provide higher profit value. In all cases, IMOD generates the worst profit value. However, MIMOD is able to give better values than IMOD. The conclusions what we have obtained from this study is that the default bounding strategy has helped STLBO to perform better, while AGSK could not provide a feasible solution for even one case with modification. While with modification, the bounding strategy has enhanced the fitness value obtained from MAGSK. In the case of IMOD, it is unable to give valid solution for some cases using default bounding strategy, while after applying the proposed bounding strategy, MIMOD provided improved fitness values than IMOD. Modification in the bounding strategy for AGSK and IMOD has enhanced their performance. Among all algorithms, MAGSK provides the best value. These are the references which I have used. Thank you.
Just a single question. Usually the bounding approaches are applied to minimization problem. Am I correct?
So actually bounding strategies are for every meta-heuristic algorithm, there has been a bounding strategy. So meta-heuristic algorithms tend to give a minimal value as an optimal value.
So you are actually, did you find out how much reduction is in the state space that we are having without applying that, or is it only about the time?
Sorry, sir, I didn't get you.
I'm saying, could you actually simulate that how much is the state space being reduced for my optimization problem instead of, or are we talking in sheer terms of what is the profit function only?
Yes, sir, we are talking about the profit function only.
Okay, all right.
So what about the time required? If whatever you have compared the various methodologies and your own.
As for so the for MILP, what they have, they did not mention the what time they have required. So for our problem, we have required 15 minutes to solve, like for one algorithms.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Swarna. So we are moving our next presentation. So next presenter is V. Krishna, and the paper title is End-to-End Pedestrian Features Detection for Self-Driving Cars.
Hello everyone.
Yes, sir.
Let me share my screen. Okay. So hello everyone and good morning everyone. So the project title is End-to-End Pedestrian Feature Detection for Self-Driving Car, and I myself Sri Krishna you from Madras Institute of Technology, Chennai. So basically the motivation is, in general, self-driving car is an autonomous vehicle which should be capable of driving by itself without any human intervention or minimal human intervention. So the main concern of a self-driving vehicle is the possibility of hitting a pedestrian on road. So it is very difficult to cover every possibility of actions made by a pedestrian. So that would be the major concern. So these kind of decisions, like whether the pedestrian will cross the road or not, whether the pedestrian shows a particular gesture or not, are very important for a self-driving vehicle to take life or death decisions. So in our work, we are proposing an end-to-end framework for performing these tasks with a reduced cost. So this framework can also be used for Indian context, where people tend to cross roads more frequently, and there are availability of traffic police in absence of traffic signals who shows traffic gestures to guide the vehicles. So these issues can also be solved using this work. So the existing implementation, so for basic gesture recognition, intent estimation, there are separate implementations available which uses different methods like RGBD method, which is in addition to RGB image, it uses the depth data using special cameras like Kinect, and image segmentation, which uses image processing techniques, and also pose estimation. And the implementations like pedestrian trajectory prediction is available, which uses the previous positions of the pedestrian, and also pose estimation in general exists, which uses multitask learning. So what we are proposing is, in general, we are merging the gesture and the intent prediction module using a multitask LSTM, which uses the pedestrian post data as the input, and also considering trajectory and intent prediction, which when merged together, which uses the previous position of the pedestrian. And finally, a prioritization module, which gives the risk factor for each pedestrian, like risk factor in the sense the probability of them being hit by a car. So that is the risk factor of a pedestrian. So these are the three modules we will be working on. And overview. So our main objective is to create an end-to-end framework for pedestrian features detection. So there are 5 modules: gesture recognition, intent estimation, person attributes classification, trajectory prediction, and risk factor identification. So this is the post estimation module. So this is used as a base module for passing the data to the other modules in the network. So post estimation is existing work which is used as the dataset COCO, and it in general gives the 14 joint coordinates of a pedestrian, and it has a multitask CNN, which one head of the network gives the body joint coordinates and other gives the vector, which in the sense it gives a direction to joint to joint, that is to joint to body joints, the limb direction. So this is repeated for 6 stages to improve the accuracy. And the next module is the gesture intent recognition. So gesture in the sense we are covering six different gestures: stop, lane change, pull over, left and right turn, and intent, which is crossing or not crossing. And both of these modules use the same input as the post of the pedestrian. Post in the sense the 14 joint coordinates and the directions in which those coordinates point to. And we are using a multitask LSTM, which is trained to identify the gesture and the intent. And we are using the dataset Polish gesture, Chinese Polish gesture dataset, and Pi dataset, which together is merged, and we form a NumPy dataset. And this is passed to the multitask LSTM. And for each frame, we have a CSV file which contains the class. So class in the sense for use for classification, the gesture and the intent. So this is given to the LSTM network and we obtain the output. And the next module is the trajectory intent recognition. So for this, we use the JAR dataset, which consists of the trajectory data, which includes the previous position of the pedestrian, speed, and also their crossing intention. So all these videos are split into CSV, I mean separate format folder, and their annotations are stored in a CSV format. And we also try the same logic we use for gesture intent in here, and by using a multitask LSTM and passing these data and getting the trajectory and the intent as the output. And another module is the person of interest classification. This is a widely existing algorithm, like using a multi-label classification CNN, and we use the dataset PETA dataset. It consists of 43 unique classes, and we are mostly using the classes age range and gender. Uh, and this is the final module, the risk factor prediction. So of all the output of all the modules which we saw earlier would be merged together and is passed to a KNN regression model, and we get the risk factor for each pedestrian, which is the probability of being hit by a car. And this is the model architecture. So the first half of the layer consists of the basic gesture intent recognition. This is the BGG network, which is a post estimation network, which consists of 6 stages. And we pass the Chinese gestures and the Pi dataset input. It gives the post estimation of a pedestrian. And the NumPy dataset is passed to a multitask LSTM. We get the intent and a gesture. And another module is the multi-class CNN, which when the input is passed, we get the person attributes like their age range, their gender, and which is also passed to the risk factor module. And finally, the input, which is the pass coordinates and the pass velocities, is passed to a multitask LSTM. And the dataset use the JAR dataset. We get the trajectory and the intent, and all these data are passed to a risk factor module, which gives the which can be used as a prioritization module. And this is the output. So this is the first image. This is the pedestrian, and you can see the green color points on the pedestrian, which are the joint coordinates, which is obtained from the post estimation. And we get the gesture and the intent. So the gesture is no gesture, and the intent is crossing. So in here, this is another example which shows the policeman showing a gesture as right turn and not crossing. And for the risk factor, we tried, there was no existing data set, so we tried getting data from a survey by getting showing all possible scenarios and getting the user reactions and using it as a data set. And this is the example of a person attribute. So it consists of 43 different classes, but we in general use two main classes, the age range and the gender. And this is a sample screenshot of when we give the these three inputs, the gesture, the intent, and the age range, we get the corresponding risk factor. And this is a demo video. So this is in real time, it shows slow down gesture and not crossing. And this is another gesture which shows lane change. It identifies the post of the person and also detects the corresponding gesture. So this is another video for implementation, which shows the crossing video. So I'm uploading a video there, and it identifies the pose of the person, and it shows that the pedestrian is crossing the road. And yeah, and for performance evaluation, for trajectory prediction, there are two terms which is used, ADE and FDE. ADE stands for average displacement error. It is the average of the drift between the ground truth and the actual value and the predicted value. So the lower the ADE, the lower drift is it is from the ground truth on the average. And FDE stands for final displacement error, which is the root mean square of the ground truth and the predicted trajectory at the last time frame. That is calculated, which is the final displacement error. And execution time is nothing but the time taken for the network to give an output from the time the input was given to the system. So these are some outputs. So first module for multitask LSTM for intent and gesture. So for separate implementation for gesture and intent, there was around 93% accuracy. So with ours, we were able to show improvement in the intent estimation by 4%. And with the multitask implementation, the execution time was very much reduced. So these were the two improvements. And for trajectory, the execution time was improved. And for risk factor, we are able to show 70% accuracy. And in general, the explanation about the results. So in our work, we were able to show 4% improvement in the intent estimation, and the execution time was improved by 0.3 seconds for a combination of gesture and intent prediction. So with the execution time being improved, we can obtain the result much faster, and hence we can take important decisions much faster when a pedestrian is found on the road. And summary. So what we have done is in the end-to-end framework, we have implemented some algorithms for faster detection of pedestrian actions, and thus with the faster decisions, accidents can be prevented. So the novel modules which we proposed include gesture and intent prediction using a multitask LSTM network, using pedestrian post data, and a prioritization module which uses these modules output and gives a risk factor for each pedestrian. And so in general, what we have done is the accuracy of the modules involved in the framework is slightly improved in the process, and visualization of the result is done for each module, and the execution time of each module is analyzed and is compared to the existing system. So yeah, this is my work.
Okay, Sri Krishna, the COCO model related with the two-dimensional pose estimation only. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So would your model be more accurate if we took into consideration some 3D model instead of the 2D?
Yes, it would be much accurate, but again, the training time, the execution time would be much larger, and the training data set size would be larger. So we can work with it, and of course the result would be good, but we need some additional resources for performing the training and results comparison. Yeah,
might be worth it trying. Might be worth trying.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir. Thank you, Krishna. Any questions, sir?
Thank you.
Okay, so next presenter is Rakshmi Dikshit, and the paper title is a real decentralized real estate asset transfer protocol based on blockchain.
Yeah. Thank you, madam. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I will share the screen.
Okay.
Yeah. So good morning, one and all. Myself, Rashmi Dikshit, along with Dr. D.P. Ganmal. Here I am presenting Real DApp, that is a decentralized real estate asset transfer protocol based on a blockchain. So what is a background? So accurate records that identify. Now, a safe means, accurate records that identify the current owner and provide assurance that he or she will get rightful owner is essential because the land is such a precious asset. So these land documents can be used to protect the owner's right, to stop self-fraud, to mediate disputes, and make sure that the ownership is properly transferred to the subsequent owners. Therefore, it is essential to maintain the accuracy and completeness of data as well as to stop unauthorized and fraudulent charges. So people lots of time depends on a third party for a land registration, such as government agencies, to keep the track of ownership information. So this third party maintain all the records in a centralized database, and finding the land and providing its ownership before transferring it thus become difficult and time consuming. So what is a problem statement and what is the objective to avoid this problem? The land registrar will act as if all land dues are paid in full, because according to the current land registry system, the owner is unable to verify an outstanding debts on the properties. The registry office can only rely on payment documentation provided by the seller and the buyer to maintain the track of land transaction, and it is unable to independently confirm their validity or actual payment. The corruption of the current system has caused the appearance of unknown owners and made record correction time consuming and expensive. So due to poor handling of the property registration, there have been several instances of fraud in land transfer during the past few years. So technology advancement across India have led to the upsurge in a fraud in all industries. Unfortunately, similar circumstances have also resulted in the loss of land assets. Additionally, the inclusion of a middleman during the transfer of a land results in additional expenditure for both parties, that is a buyer and real estate sales. So by adding a decentralized approach into the current land registration administration system, we can hope to solve all the problems what we are facing currently. So by transferring the land assets over the blockchain network and enabling users to transact Ethereum blockchain is introduced in the current system. So what is a proposed solution for this? So lack of information in document is a major factor in the majority of fraud cases, for example, title frauds, etc. So when data is stored on a blockchain, nobody can alter it, not even the government, and this is known as immutability of a data in a blockchain. So our approach is eliminates all middlemen from the sale, allowing to seller to sell the property straight to the buyer. Small loopholes in the current system are unknown to the majority of the people, but these middlemen are aware of them and take the use of them to conduct the transaction illegally. So utilization of NFTs, that is non-fungible tokens, to worldwide identify property and its owner. So this is the particular architecture. So what is a protocol for this? We means We completely decentralize the system. So current database system for the land registration management system present a serious problem because it uses a decentralized approach to store and manage that is required by the government. The government must extract all of the data from the central database, install it on a blockchain network in order to decentralize the current land registration system. So practically speaking, it is user job to spread their land asset across the blockchain network by making a tiny financial investment. User must register for an account on our website as the initial step in our system. Once the user has registered, the user's property will be displayed on the web platform. And this method is comparable to the DigiLocker, where in which the user register on the portal and obtain all essential documents related to the identity. However, by adding a special component that confirms the user, our system is now more secure. In essence, the user must first authenticate them after registration before all the user properties are shown. The user is directed to the nearby government facility linked to the system for the authentication. The user displayed associate entries are no longer accessible on the blockchain network. The user must then connect his land asset to his MetaMask wallet and deposit some money in the form of Ether to the Ethereum blockchain in order to deploy it across the network of the blockchain. And once the user uses the deploy function, the land asset is deployed via the blockchain. And as a result, the blockchain is used to deploy all the data and all the user land assets, making the user's land registry in a decentralized form. Now, as you can see here, the screenshot, now the main important question arises, why should customer upload their land asset to the blockchain network if the state won't pay for them? The user's land asset may be worth lakhs or crores of rupees, and nobody wants their land assets to be target of the fraud or cyber attack. And because of this, the user must pay a fee to guarantee the security of their land assets. An NFT of a user's land asset is created, and that sorry, and displayed in user's MetaMask wallet after the contract address has been imported and user's land assets has been distributed across the network. And this method decentralizes land registration by moving all the data from present centralized database system to the blockchain. And user can now use the online platform buying and selling area to sell or acquire properties, and all the transactions conducted on the blockchain platform are permanent and maintained across the blockchain. And these are the some screenshot. Now the conclusion, the information is immediately updated and recorded on the blockchain platform after the land transaction is finished. It is possible to determine who is the current legal owner of the land by looking at the history of the prior ownership transaction. The use of the blockchain in the land register and its implementation, as well as its contribution to keep of land records, are both transparent. The land registry procedure is made easier and more transparent and more accessible with the help of blockchain technology. It also enables us to establish whether an activity has taken place in certain area. It includes all the documents pertaining to the registration land, and without any doubt, this application will promote development and ease of access to life for the present and future generation. Thank you.
Rashmi, what do you want to store on the blockchain actually?
So actually on the blockchain, how the process will start, the user will register. After registration, they will upload whatever they want to buy or sell. So whatever the uploaded by the user for the buying will be available to all who already registered through the blockchain.
There, you are saying you are going to use Ethereum for
smart contracts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So whatever
What
the
is the
gas.
cost of what is the cost of storing the documents?
Sir, that will be depends, means currently the project is under implementation. It is not implemented fully because it is just like a simulation right now. We have used some documents, some user as an data set, and if we require, means we are trying to collaborate it with some companies for actual checking of the cost.
Okay, I'll tell you that, because
Yeah.
to store a small NFT, let us say an image with a couple of kilobytes,
Yeah.
just with a couple of KB, the cost goes to around close to $1,000, depending on the cost of storage in Ethereum.
Okay.
So the only limiting factor in your entire project would be that cost of storing.
Yeah.
The blockchain for storage is a very prohibitive medium because the cost of storage is very high.
Okay.
So that you would have to keep into consideration while you proceed with the project.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
I would like to ask one question. If there is a litigation associated with the land, how you are going to detect if the user is not going to be uploaded that information?
That will be the main issue. We cannot handle the perception by each and every user. If he or she is not ready to upload, then what we can do? We
No.
just want to convince them that this is a better or this will be the good for them.
Because you are providing the platform to the sellers and buyers. Na? So whatever the platform or the media you are going to become in between the two parties, so your platform should be authenticated.
Yeah.
Whatever the suggestions you are going to provide, because anyone is going to rely on your system, because like you have done the survey of all the legal matters related with the land.
Okay.
If that feature is going to be added, because how the customer is going to rely on your system, just not only just uploading and getting the information, that is not only the issue. No?
Means some authentication is required by the third party, which is already authenticated.
Yeah, like a bank people are going to do like the survey before giving the loan to the customer. They are going to do the survey of the property. Either the property is going to be hassle free or there is no litigation associated with that property, and then only the bank is going to give the loan. Like
just
that
like displaying
mechanism
things
you
in
are
the
going to
paper.
provide.
Just
Yes,
like
yes.
displaying the things in the paper.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Professor Sangve made a point actually. What he is not maybe probably saying exactly is that from the land record, there is one use case where you would always require a third party. The government has to be there. It cannot be a completely decentralized solution. There has to be a hybrid where the government always remains a party, because land records are something which is not exactly appropriate to blockchains as of today. Even when in June, Kolkata, the government is saying that we want to have the land records on blockchain, but even there the government is a party which is actually going to maintain the blockchain. So it is more likely going to be a solution where the third party itself is just making sure the records are on the blockchain for the storage. No, not it cannot be an independent process. That's a bit of a
Means it is not an easy solution, whatever we are thinking.
Yeah, it is not easy. I'm saying, I'm just sharing that the government may always remain a party.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rashmi Dikshit.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
So all the presentations are done. So thank you so much for the thank you so much authors for the excellent presentation in this session, and all our participants for being a part of this international conference. I hope this session was informative enough to all, and on behalf of whole team, thank you for the support in this version and the previous 6th version of the conference. So we will be happy to have you in the 8th version in 2024. All the presenter would be getting the digital certificates through the mail within 2 working days. Further, all the papers have already forwarded to the Spinger and the publication will be live within 6 months. So kindly cooperate with the team of SMARTCOM. And I also thank our session chair for chairing the session. And here is the token of appreciation for Sunil sir and the Sachin sir from the team of SMARTCOM and the Global Knowledge Research Foundation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
So at the end of the session, I would like to request you all, please turn on the camera to keep quick snapshot of this virtual conference. Shri Krishna, if you are unable to open the camera, please turn on. Professor Ajit. Okay, no problem. Okay, thank you so much for the presentation and all the best for the future. Stay safe, take care.
Thank you, ma'am.